more promoting about the Siripo, and the Siripo can be like strengthen the roles by using the AI, particularly like using OCR to transform their photo, for example, into the document like what BPOM required. And the last one is the customer service, because this is still like a bottleneck from the industry that somehow the process to have a consultation with the BPOM staff is still limited. Next. And the following step is Badan POM needs a support from Bapak Ibu sekalian, ladies and gentlemen in here, the stakeholder to implement AI. Since the AI requires a huge investment, and this bring long-term impacts on improving public service delivery. And BPOM also needs the further studies using the digital ecosystem approach, particularly preparing the regulatory framework, human resource transformation, that AI can work with human and AI can help human, and also preparing AI ethics, security, and data privacy. And the last one is the developing the AI prototype and DFD to address challenge in the public service by the end of 2024. Next. And I would like to acknowledge that this study is fully funded by the generosity of Badan POM and also BRIN since 2023 until 2024. And this is the team. This is my team from BRIN and also team from Badan POM. The things that we need to remember that we can improve something that we can measure. Next. Thank you. I think that's all for my presentation.
Terima kasih. Terima kasih Pak Bahtiar, Pak Mas Bobi ya, kami panggilnya. Pertama yang kami lihat adalah bahwa Badan POM ini memiliki modal untuk menerapkan AI ya. Jadi punya potensial, meskipun ada beberapa hal yang harus menjadi perhatian, terutama etik, security, dan privacy. Kemudian memang kita belum memiliki divisi khusus AI ya Pak Indra ya, tapi mungkin ke depannya kalau misalnya kebutuhannya meningkat, tentunya secara manajemen kelembagaan juga bisa dibentuk. Yang kedua adalah, yang saya catat adalah masih ada kesenjangan, gap antara Badan POM di pusat dengan teman-teman di UPT dalam memahami AI atau digital savvy, yaitu berbeda antara kesenjangan ini. Padahal sektor industri itu banyak berhubungan langsung dengan teman-teman di daerah, jadi konsultasi segala macam. Nah, ini juga catatan bagi kami ya di Badan POM untuk meningkatkan kapasitas teman-teman di UPT terkait dengan penguasaan teknologi dan kedepannya terkait dengan AI. Kemudian mungkin ini kan baru step pertama ya untuk diregistrasi pangan olahan. Kemudian jika ini berhasil dengan baik, tentunya kita berharap ada spillover effect ke bisnis proses yang lainnya di Badan POM, tidak hanya di pangan, mungkin nanti ke obat dan juga ke bidang-bidang lainnya, obat tradisional, kosmetik, dan lain sebagainya dalam pemanfaatan AI untuk mempercepat bisnis proses dan juga meningkatkan pelayanan kepada masyarakat. Baik, terima kasih Pak Bahtiar. Berikutnya kami mengundang Profesor Dian Condronegoro dari Griffith University yang akan menyampaikan materi terkait dengan best practice penggunaan AI dalam pengawasan rantai pasok pangan di Australia. Beliau akan hadir secara daring, sudah online ya, Prof. Dian ya? Panitia.
Sudah.
Baik, kami persilahkan kepada Prof. Dian Condronegoro untuk menyampaikan materi lebih kurang 15-20 menit. Silakan.
Hi everyone, selamat pagi semuanya. Thank you for having me here, and I wish I can be there in person, but it is brilliant that we can be here online. So thank you for having me, and thanks for the invitation, Pak Bahtiar. I think I truly appreciate this opportunity to speak and share a bit of this particular very important topic around good practices in AI utilization for food chain surveillance. Do let me know if you can't hear me well because I had to use my mobile phone, and unfortunately my internet at home is not working. All right, so let's get started. First of all, I would like to highlight that surprise for a lot of people, I would say, is because we often feel that Australia must not have any issue with food security, right? Everyone should have abundance of food. Unfortunately, it's not the case. There are a lot of issues, and let's start with the key one, which we share in common between the two countries. The climate change and the biosecurity is significantly threatening the Australia's food security itself and increasing price. The extreme weather events maybe are quite different between the two countries, but droughts, we do have droughts, floods, and bushfires uh, do impact the food production and supply chain, increasing the food insecurity. And we've learned throughout the COVID-19 infections that the supply chain network was very hugely disrupted. Uh, Obviously bananas, pineapples, things that we are normally eating in Australia are greatly affected because of the climate change itself. And when there are a huge um, COVID infections just after the drought, it was hugely affecting the price of the food, and therefore people are starting to scramble for those ingredients and for certain fruits and so on. So the rising cost and the freight and the supply disruptions, as well as labor shortages during the COVID-19, clearly is an issue that we have to be more ready for any future disaster. The market concentration is also critical because we need to know um, whether there are certain demands that is needed in certain places. Now, the key thing here is to understand that food insecurity is not an issue everywhere. It is experienced in specifically around the location. Indigenous population are also a lot more vulnerable, and between 4 to 13% of the general population, comparison to 22 to 32% of the indigenous population are food insecure. So we need to look at this particular issue around the particular location, and usually the reasons for food insecurity are primarily material hardship and inadequate financial resources. Obviously, low income earners, socially and geographically isolated, as well as the Aboriginal and Torres Strait Islander peoples, and all these specific populations. Now, this is very critical to highlight too, that the difficulty in accessing affordable, healthy food or limited food and nutrition literacy often is also what creates this issue. And negative short and long-term impacts on children obviously is a real issue around. The challenge is to make sure that equitable access to food for future generations is very critical for Australia. All right, hopefully I've highlighted the critical things about food security for Australia. And in terms of how AI is rapidly transforming the Australian food landscape, it has disrupted everything from the production to consumption, whether it is to drive efficiency, sustainability, and the data-centric approach across the entire food supply chain. One thing that is very critical that everyone will share from now on, I think, is this notion about supply chain efficiency, meaning that let's say there are a lot of productions and the supply chain itself is not maximizing based on the demand, meaning that we're producing a lot more food than necessarily. The market penetration is not there. So it means that a lot of wastage will happen. And obviously that means that we need to look at this issue that a third of the food produced, approximately around 7.86 million tons per year, is currently going to waste in Australia. So uh, no wonder then, even with this abundant food production, the Food Bank Hunger Report 2023 revealed a stark reality that 3.7 million Australian households face food insecurity in the past years, and that is a significant proportion of our household, which I mentioned earlier, around 13% of the general population. So it comes to the point where we have to look at AI and agricultural robotics to optimize agricultural productivity, improve food safety, and it can be also used to design new food that is aligning with the consumer taste and preferences. Wouldn't it be nice that we can have a precision farming that optimizes supply, demand, and seasonal climate, reducing wastage, making sure that the production is optimum for the demand, and also the robots itself can increase the productivity, yields, and the supporting the nutrition security itself. So weed and pest control robots, quality control for strawberries. In Griffith University, we use it for hyperspectral imaging. We use it for looking at picking the right quality strawberries and automatically doing that from the moment that it got picked from the farm. And that's really important to do. So there are a lot of other things that Australia in general do. And there is this example, these cooperative research centers look at AI and robotics to manage challenges such as labor shortages and market volatility. And when it comes to looking at enabling farmers to better use cow health records to reduce antibiotic use, which is obviously chemical, right? And to improve the management of the clinical mastitis, which is to do with the cow's breast function itself to make sure that the milk is producing well. Also equally looking at the grazing intelligence to empower sheep and beef producers to make proactive decisions on when to graze the and how much they can do it. And finally, of course, improving the avocado exports to make sure the avocado robustness, which is to do with the quality of the avocado against diseases and pests, and the best area for food supply chain improvement. So that is where cooperative research centers have been doing, and that is in collaboration between university, government, and obviously the NGOs. And I think this is where Australia also very keen to look at the notion of using Australia's Research Council Centre for Industrial Transformation, which provides funding for partnerships, which includes training for our higher degree researchers and postdoctoral training. And it has been very critical for food safety. In particular, there is this, for example, the Training Center for Uniquely Australian Foods to change how Australians and the world think about Australia's cuisine and food products. And the collaboration is with the First Nations communities across Australia, food industry entrepreneurs, and a research team spanning law, engineering, food science, and social sciences. And in Griffith, we also do look at increasing the farm production and disease prevention by advancing the new and transferring the new artificial intelligence technologies for driving productivity and disease prevention. Now, it comes to the point where I would like to highlight then the use of AI itself. When it has to be good, that means it is responsible. It has a clear policy settings, responsible implementation, and transparency of how AI is used and displacing jobs, obviously, and all these other risks that we mentioned briefly. So as you know, AI is mimicking human cognitive functions. It can process information, synthesize knowledge, plan and execute, and learn and become autonomous. So what is really critical, based on the 14 top nations in the world, including US, China, UK, Canada, Germany, and India, and Singapore, and so on, data strategies is top of the national AI strategy. So data sharing is very critical. So it's very pleasing to hear all these things that has been shared so far in this forum, because data sharing between the public and social good and privacy and governance balance between them is the top priority. Second priority is obviously data collaboration and ecosystem for research development and innovation. And equally important is the notion of data quality and its fair use and safe use for food safety, for example. So what it means is that then there is, which I create this framework around what is AI maturity journey for us to apply for food security. First is having this education and training to ensure that we have AI literacy in addition to data literacy and digital literacy to ensure that there are jobs for everyone and we know that everyone knows how to use AI responsibly, right? Second is the partnership for interdisciplinary research, development, and innovation. Third is the infrastructure, the infrastructure for trustworthy data and AI, as well as then all of that is in the pyramid. The top of the ice cream of that, or top of the pyramid, is the community impact itself. So, in other words, before we can create in community impact, we need to have all the ingredients beforehand. And I just create this abbreviation called EPIC framework for that. And because of that, then the highlight is then here is I've highlighted that education is critical, right? So that means that human in the loop uh, is there. So ensuring that AI is behaving to the way that it adheres to the human rights, social norms, and protecting our privacy, and making sure that human beings are not solely subjected to any automated decisions, especially if those decisions have legal ramifications, and that is where based on the EU's GDPR or General Data Protection itself. So what is really important then is the responsible AI implementation framework, which means that co-creation, where all players are involved in creating from the plan and designing the ecosystem for AI, developing and deploying the solution, as well as the operation and monitoring on a scale, and scaling up the AI, I mean. So what it means is that the collaboration between all players has to be there in order to create the initial trust formation and the continuous trust formation on the use of AI for any purposes. Um, and what is critical then is to have value-based principles to guide the AI lifecycle, such as, for example, inclusive growth, sustainable development, and well-being. So how much AI is supporting the benefit for individual, society, and environment? Looking at the human-centered values and the fairness, are we looking after our next generation when it comes to being excluded from being able to do the jobs that they used to do? And what about the transparency and the explainability of the use of AI to make decisions around what is a good supply chain management for food security, for example? And what about the use of data being robust, secure, and safe and accountable, right? So these are adapted from OECD's AI principles as well as AI's ethics principles. So in order to have a sustainable AI, in order to create AI that will be sustainable in the future, that can be basically realizing the long-term benefits, we need to be driven by the ethical requirements, having the vision, the objectives, and so-called the corporate values and the protocols that it will drive then the ethical AI engineering, so to create new AI tools, the AI enterprise AI systems. So when it comes to creating the systems for business requirements as well as the ethical AI business itself, it's very, very important that we have all these ingredients for sustaining AI impact. All right, so it comes to the point where I'd like to just spend a few minutes here. Hopefully I'm not too over time, sorry. Because I really think that AI, in addition to all that I've just discussed, has the capability to navigate the new normal. So just like the wave hitting the big, the stable mountain here in the Japanese art here, I would like to picture that, while we are all doing fine, but there are a lot of different things that we need to make sure, such as drought, disaster in general. How can we be also ready for climate change of the future? What about the pandemic of the future? Can we navigate that in the future, right? I think I'd like to highlight here that this is the future. Pervasive intelligent systems, everything from the way that food is consumed. Food is produced from the marine area, from the biodiversity, obviously, and how food is consumed in different places. The quality of our animal, tree, soil, crop, air, water, and food, and the way that it affects, obviously general well-being of a human that we consume the nutrition. What about using the social media, the human interfaces to actually interact with the data around making decisions around how to optimize our supply chain? I think it's very critical that we do all that. And how can we do that in the notion of this project I'm trying to start around the coffee traceability, for example? I'm sure that Indonesia is very much like Australia right now. Coffee is one of the most important beverage, and I can in my last trip last month in Jakarta, I saw it's booming. I think the coffee industry in Indonesia is booming, right? So how can we make sure that from the beans to the cup, coffee is sustainable? So from the point of farm and production, processing, export, import, roasting, the retailer and the consumption, we actually are looking at the information around critical tracking of events, key data elements to look at, making sure that, for example, here, what people is consuming is exactly what is being produced, the original taste and the origin of the bin is very critical for the quality and the distinct flavor of the production. And how can we make sure that the farmers are not just getting nothing because of the whole production is only giving money to certain players only? How can we be fairer? And this AI, using this sort of very rich data, can help to make such decisions around how can we have a fairer economy for coffee production that produces the distinctive flavor that we love as a consumer. And this is where the AI is also able. I create these pictures, co-create, I should say, with AI. And AI is also enabling us to navigate the new normal because we can communicate quicker because of graphical interface and graphical representations that AI can create. So rather than I just talk like that, right? Not only that I create these diagrams using AI, I also use AI to create a user interface. So what used to take me a month to do took me less than an hour, literally, to create this. So this is you can see that this is all AI generated because a lot of it is not really making sense in terms of the English. But if you look at basically just showing this is where the farm production is based on. It's just describing how temperature and different things that make sense of the coffee bean production, and also how the coffee processing itself, from the process of the pulping to washing and the drying will create a different profile of the coffee. And finally, of course, the roasting profile itself will give a different batch quality as well as the flavor itself. So you can see here that AI is enabling us to communicate with various stakeholders around the supply chain of coffee and enabling us to work together better because all the stakeholders understand now what is the possibility of data use for maximizing the quality and the sustainability of our coffee. So last but not least, this is where I'm coming from. I come from business strategy and innovation, where we want to innovate the economy, future-proofing our economy, adapting our design, manufacturing and trading, as well as the digital transformation, because multidisciplinary expertise will work towards the sustainable development goal, as well as the flexible and adaptive practices to support businesses' needs. And that is what BSI is doing. And obviously, in the digital age, we need to look at international business and Asia, management, innovation and entrepreneurship, supply chain management, as well as business analytics. In other words, folks, I would like to highlight here, and in closing, is the interdisciplinary and transformative research leading to positive societal impacts. So some takeaway points here. I would like to highlight here that I've written a report around 5 years ago around the next AI superpower, because let's face it, pervasive intelligent systems will support food supply chain, and the collaboration between human and AI is key and critical to optimize food production, which means supply of quality and nutritious food, and reducing wastage, which is equal to timely delivery of quality food at the point where people need it most. AI needs to be responsible because we need to look at job displacement due to digital transformation, an uneven playing field, the people that know how to use digital and AI, and also finally the data and privacy transparency and accountability of the use of data as well as the AI itself. Finally, I would like to explore further around the Australia and Indonesia collaborations, because we definitely do have shared challenge and values when it comes to AI, as well as how it can address our shared challenges around food security and supply chain of our food production. And finally, I do hope that we will look at education, partnership, infrastructure, and community impact together bilaterally. With that, I would like to thank you for the opportunity once again, and it's a pleasure meeting you all online. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Prof. Dian Chandronegoro atas paparannya. Jadi beliau menyampaikan lesson learn ya, pembelajaran AI di Australia, bagaimana kita juga berharap AI ke depan, terutama di sektor pangan, tidak hanya menyediakan produksi yang lebih baik, tetapi juga distribusi pangan ya, yang bergizi bagi masyarakat dan mengurangi food loss dan food waste. Kemudian satu lagi mungkin yang kami lihat penting terkait dengan AI maturity ya, dengan EPIC tadi, education and training, partnership, infrastructure, serta community impact. Dan kemudian tadi Prof. Dian menyampaikan potensi kolaborasi ya, Pak Bobby ya. Mudah-mudahan nanti Indonesia bisa menjajaki kolaborasi lebih dalam lagi dengan Prof. Dian ya dan tim di Griffith University untuk pengembangan AI terutama bagi instansi pemerintah. Berikutnya sudah hadir juga Dr. Nunung ya, Hidayat dari Southampton Business School yang akan menyampaikan tantangan pemanfaatan AI dalam surveillance keamanan pangan pembelajaran dari Inggris. Jadi tadi dari Australia, Prof. Dian, kemudian sekarang Dr. Nunung pembelajaran dari UK untuk Indonesia, beliau hadir secara daring ya. Kami persilahkan waktunya 15-20 menit Dr. Nunung untuk menyampaikan paparannya.
Good morning, everyone. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Can everyone hear my voice clearly?
Yes.
Yeah. Okay. Thank you. Good UK. It's so I would like to first of all thank Dr. Bahtiari Fai for getting involved into this based on our brief conversation, and he get me into joining the beautiful session we have today. I think I would like to pitch it in slightly wider context. I would go into briefly going through some of the implementation of AI in the food standard agency or food industry in the UK, but I would like to perhaps take it a slightly wider as a public sector context and how the UK have been trying to develop AI in their system, and then compare what the food agency standard use in terms of or implement in terms of AI, and then compare it with how it is implemented in the health industry or health sector in the UK. What that we can learn from the health industry. I've been listening to Dr. Bachin and then another presentation from Australia. So maybe what is then we need to, what would be the impact and what we need to improve in terms of the implementation of AI. I would like to start with perhaps reviewing the trajectory of the use of artificial intelligence in the UK public sector. So it was started in 2018, where the government seek to stimulate the use of AI across different departmental or different institutions in the UK. And then in 2019, the government make a review or conducted a review across different departments on how the readiness and also the review of what could be done with AI adoption across different government in the UK. And in 2021, the government launches AI strategy. And I think this year they started to pick up what Dr. Bahtiar and also Prof. Dian from the Australia earlier talking about different aspects of security, ethics, and etc. in terms of the impact of the use of AI in the UK institution. So in 2024, this is the latest budget of the government. The government introduced the incubator for artificial intelligence across different UK public sectors, where the government seek to review the technical expertise to support the implementation, the piloting, and then the sharing of data, and also upskilling civil servant. I think Dr. Bahtiar picked up a point where the implementation or the use of it between the central and perhaps the more local branches of the institution in Indonesia could be sort of streamlined and maybe make it harmonized a little bit more. And this is where the upskilling of civil servants perhaps becoming something crucial here. And the latest UK spring budget in 2024, the government announced quite a huge amount of funding for AI initiatives for supporting public sector or enhancing public sector productivity in the UK. The National Audit Office has conducted a survey as well back in March this year to report 74 AI initiatives that has been deployed in different government which covers around slightly more than £100 million worth of value or funding in itself. So the common purpose for all this project across governmental bodies, why AI is deployed and implemented, is to improve the operational decision making and also the internal processes. Based on the National Audit Office survey back in the end of 2023, they mapped out the level of use of AI in different governmental institutions. From the 87, if I'm not mistaken, 37 of it have deployed and implemented AI in a slightly more advanced manner. And then 25 was still piloting and others still exploring. And most of it, to go back to my earlier point, where the objective is to support more effective internal processes, the National Audit Office also map out what are the rationale or perhaps the motivation of the public institution in using artificial intelligence. Some of them, like what we can look at here, they choose to develop AI for the purpose of supporting operational decision making, research and monitoring, internal processes, and also, most importantly, to provide a better public engagement and public service at large. So the use of AI itself in different public sector can be seen from what I've summarized here from the survey of National Audit Office. So some of them are using computer vision, coding assistant, fraud error detection, virtual assistant, text generation, and different type of tools for piloting and also implementing AI in different aspect of or different governmental bodies. For example, I'll pick up just one on the use of CCTV images, for example, for traffic flow, road traffic incident. In fact, her job is in this regard. So rather than using only some in the past, it used to be a team that looked at the camera, and then if they could pick up any problems or potential crime and etc., and human being might have tiredness, boredom, and etc., the use of AI will improve such public services, for example. And I will then move into my exploration of how AI has been used in food standard agency, which Dr. Bahtiar asked me to concentrate on this on my presentation. And then I will move into how it is perhaps slightly, in my view, implemented and developed better in the health sector, and what can we learn, not only for Indonesia but for the UK Food Standard Agency as well, for them to reflect as well. So the use of AI by Food Standard Agency was meant to improve the efficiency of local authorities in managing hygiene infection workload post-pandemic especially. So it is being made mandatory for businesses in the UK, Wales, and Ireland to showcase or to show to the potential customer the hygiene rating. So hygiene rating is a big business in the UK. If you are going to some of the, if I want to go out for dinner, for example, if I was just visiting, let's say, Cardiff, or I don't know what are the main restaurant I would go to, then it would be easy for the customer to look at the rating. What is the hygiene rating? Of course, customer do not want to go to those premises that might have a less kind of hygiene rating. And if in any cases this infection fall into any businesses before the pandemic and after the pandemic, they could be because of they don't adhere by the rules of that comes within this rating system. And unlike in Indonesia, to give a bit of a context as well, maybe if I want to open a business or a restaurant or something or related with food, I could just open it right there, and then there's no need for perhaps very daunting and maybe rigid processual kind of inspection for anyone to open a business. In the UK is a very different thing. The food standard and food, not only surveillance, but standardization and also approval is very rigid. So for example, if someone want to open a business, there will be inspection up to the level where the food is produced and the position of the kitchen, along with how it is cleaned up and etc., the waste. And so it's a very rigid and highly controlled kind of process for businesses to go through. Hence, this is also creating pressure for the regulators, i.e. The Food Standard Agency, to deploy their resources in ensuring all this are perhaps monitored and conducted within the rules and regulation. In this case, then the introduction of AI would reduce the workload and also ensuring the the food security and food protection for the wider public even better and greater in terms of its process of monitoring. So post-pandemic, during pandemic, perhaps it was slightly toned down because of the difficulties we all face, but the government introduced different schemes such as help out, buy out, where people can go and buy more food, but they will be given discount and etc. Post-pandemic, of course, this scheme was then reducted or perhaps withdrawn because there's no need for it anymore. And then on the consequently, there are a lot of new registration, a lot of new business coming up post-pandemic. And also, apart from that, some of the businesses have changed their function, changed their kind of operation. Some of them perhaps rather than opening a more kind of direct accessible, they might more opt for delivery and different things. So there are changing of mode of business and also new kind of registration that coming up, which create a lot more pressure for the local authorities where this kind of certification fall into. And as a result, post-pandemic, there's a huge kind of list of waiting for inspections for food hygiene rating scheme and also registration. In this case, this will then induce or perhaps triggers the UK government to then introduce AI in the process. So at the moment, they use what they call as light GBM, or it's an AI that is developed to based on three sources: Internal Food Standard Agency, the Food Health and Rating System data, publicly census data, and some other data. This tool is a machine learning model that is integrated into web application that can be accessed by stakeholders and local authorities in England, Wales, and Northern Ireland. And the use of this system is, of course, still voluntary and aims to provide more standardized methodology for prioritizing inspection and also predicting hygiene rating. This is where I would like to compare and pick up later when I compare it with the NHS. So using this data, this model is trained to predict the food hygiene rating and based on the established weighting for its first inspection, but also to predict whether the establishment or the business is compliant or not when they're already running the operation. So this access of web application is only granted to stakeholders within the local authorities who have agreed on the terms and condition of using this system. User will have access of information, and on the contrary, the system will have access on their data. This is where the privacy issue might come in the end. So at the beginning of 2022, the Food Standard Agency began its consultation with a group of local authorities across different counties in the UK to investigate ways to solve the problems of huge backlog of registration and rating scheme. So the use of AI here is seen as a way out. So I cited the head of Food Health and Rating Agency. There's the picture is provided here. What he said is part of the rationale to use or introduce AI was to investigate whether there was an opportunity to optimize data and technology to help the local authorities on risk assessment, prioritizing the backlog, and also monitoring for food hygiene rating and the indicator for compliance of the businesses within their own, each of their local authorities, and also reduce the pressure on inspection as well. So this, according to this head of the rating agency here, could be combined, this AI could be combined with the existing local authority processes to provide a lot more knowledge for the decision-making process. So it is used for predicting the food hygiene rating of an establishment, could be a perhaps a production factory or restaurants or any other kind of business that are waiting for its first inspection. And on the other pole of the process is also to check the compliance as well. So this is seen as a way to not only providing a lot more efficient processes, but also reducing costs for the local authority. And in the long term, it also can be integrated with the other development of AI in the other aspect of public sector in the UK. So some of them are also linked to the food surveillance. I just pick up some of the example here. So one of the example that they do is using what they call a signal prioritization dashboard. This is more of a, for the previous one was on more of food hygiene rating, those that perhaps have a direct interaction with customer. This is more of food and also produce that come to the UK, similar to the context of the Australian earlier, that the UK also have perhaps minimum produce. Most of the food produce are imported from the surrounding countries or the Commonwealth related countries as well. So this kind of system, digital system, providing more maybe shorter of processes and creating a lot more transparency and control and also monitoring. So as a result, has been able to respond to a different or maybe making the processes much more efficient and effective, especially to respond to major events such as EU exit and after COVID. The other use is to look at the risk of imported products to the UK by using the system called risk likelihood dashboard. So this dashboard identifies high-risk commodities imported into the UK and present a very detailed information for the decision maker to for the approval process. This include information around import incidents and many other aspects that could be accessed by 150 Port of Health and local authorities across the UK. So it is proven to increase the identification of non-compliance across different ports that was mentioned earlier. Another AI tools that is used is automated feed identifier. So this is aimed to reduce manual effort in detecting feed commodities listed in the manifest of products imported or from outside the UK for official controls and supporting efficient resource utilization and reducing trade frictions as well. So the feedback from local authorities involved in this project that this indicates that the manual process is less efficient, and because this AI-based system could basically look at documents more than 100 pages in an hour. So it's which is by Food Security Agency is compared in this table. So one page, for example, was taken 34 seconds in the previous system, non-AI based system. Then with a AI-based system, it could just took less than 3 seconds, basically. So overall, this improved the processes. This improved more efficiency in terms of the processes and the operation, the monitoring, surveillance, and detections, and also investigation conducted by the Food Standard Agency. But my critique to that, so how it hasn't, the Food Standard Agency hasn't done a lot more investigation into how it is actually affecting the processes itself. It is a very general meta kind of analysis, but they haven't come and done the review into the nitty-gritty or perhaps some more micro processes in terms of the judgment process and etc. And that's why it intrigues me to compare it with how it is used in the other public sector agency. I'm sure that perhaps this is not directly relevant, but perhaps we can, the takeaway from the few slides I will go through could be a lesson learned, or perhaps a reflection for the project that Dr. Bhatiar and the team from BPOM conducted so far, what can be done, and other things. At the moment, if I reflect to the Indonesian case, is the joint work between BRIN and BPOM. In the case of NHS, it's slightly wider. It's the integration between the governmental agency, i.e. the NHS, and other related parties, and also an agency like BRIN, but also involving academics in the process. I will pick up 2 things. Basically, last week on Monday and Tuesday, I attended these 2 days conferences at King's College London, where there are practitioners, not only academics, but practitioners and academics are sharing the implementation of AI in different industries, not only in food. It was in a policy in Germany and in the UK, and the higher education, how they are implemented in helping their budgeting system. It was the case of the US, the University of California, San Diego was the case at that time. And also one of them is this case, the joint project between the University of Edinburgh, led by Professor Luciana Diardigo, and the team of the NHS and the hospital in Lancashire, and across. This is only one of the bigger projects they have. They are at the moment looking at stroke diagnostic, but the next project they're currently doing is to improve the efficiency of neonatal treatment, and many other things that are within the project. It was funded, I think, 25 million pounds provided by the government and the external bodies as well to support this kind of project. So it is actually a collaboration between the academic and practitioners, as I mentioned earlier. So the objective of the project is to track the deployment of a stroke AI across Scotland, because with the the restrictive budget and the resource constraint, that the NHS experience so far, this kind of AI system is basically improving its efficiency. But there are also other side that I want to pick up later on. So this AI-based system can accurately map out the stroke diagnostic practices. So the AI system would require medical staff to upload the CT scans, the MRI, and everything into it, and then different, because all data in terms of health and everything is much more standardized in the UK. It's all system based, so it's much easier in this case. Then this AI system will create a diagnosis, and this is where the interesting part, which I think now BPOM and Dr. Bhartiar are concentrated in developing and implementing it, but perhaps at the later process could be looked at as well. How does it affect the practices at a smaller level? And how does it affect the practitioner? In the case of BPOM, perhaps the staff and the investigators or whoever involved in the process. In the case of NHS, here is the stroke practitioners and the Scottish healthcare system overall. So they want to look at the gaps and suggest remedies if there is any improve. Dr. Bhatiar mentioned about imbalances between different two parts of the processes that was explored earlier, and then the healthcare system effectiveness, and also the coordination, reconfiguration of tasks, and etc. So to construct comprehensive real-world AI deployment in the case of healthcare framework, but then could be projected and used and perhaps reflected on any other cases. What is interesting from the presentation I joined last week by this team was that it changed the practice of the healthcare staff. So in the past, the consultant, or we call it specialist in Indonesia, the consultant will start from data and then look at the patients, and they will then create or develop a diagnosis. But the diagnosis has been produced by this AI system. What happened? What is interesting now? The consultant or the specialist are now not start from the data, but they started from the diagnosis of the AI. And then from that diagnosis, they try to look at the data again to prove or disagree, or to what. And overall, in a nutshell, is they are trying to confirm or deviate or challenge the diagnosis of the AI system, which to me is this AI system and how it changed the practices and the decision-making process within. So, but on the other side, it has been proven that it's improved the delivery and also the services to patient. If you, any of you happen to visit Scotland, Scotland is very fast, and some of them might be very remote. So, and stroke treatment require kind of fast processes in order to be able to provide the best treatment. The AI system could basically showcase much better than human being a mapping of how much or how many percent of the brain are salvageable, or whether the patient worth treatment or just left at the position where the treatment is doesn't really make sense for that patient. So the interaction here, which I'd like perhaps could be a reflection for Dr. Bhatia and the team and BBPOM in general, to look at how does it impact the practices, the decision making, the practitioners' identity as a professional, their work, their practices as well. Another use of AI is on NHS evaluation.
Hello, Dr. Nunung. Sorry for interrupting. I
Yeah.
think it is 3 minutes more for you to present.
Okay, I'll be only 1 minute. Don't worry
Thank you.
about that. Yeah, thank you. So this is for the NHS evaluation. So they use it more of a more general examination on the NHS services. So this is also another example that can be used to look at perhaps overall kind of processes in the public sector. Another example is in Wales. The Wales public sector also set a similar kind of project for digitalizations, and they compare it in a different, it's not only in one, I won't have time to go through all of this, but perhaps from the slide, can be looked at and how they map it. Maybe it could be a lesson learned for BBPOM and the team as well. And these are some of the examples that any of you could click and go through if you want to learn about it further. I think this is all for me. Thank you.
Yes. Thank you, Dr. Nunung, for very detailed presentation. Tidak hanya di sektor makanan ya tadi dijelaskan oleh beliau, tetapi juga di sektor kesehatan, bagaimana di Inggris AI sudah mulai dipergunakan di sektor kesehatan, meskipun tadi disampaikan di awal bahwa untuk sektor publik baru sekitar 74 ya inisiatif AI sudah diperkenalkan, dan dari 74 itu beberapa memang sudah berjalan, kemudian ada juga yang masih piloting dan juga masih di tahap perencanaan. Nah, mudah-mudahan ini menjadi inspirasi bagi kami ya, khususnya bagi kita di government sector maupun industri untuk memulai program AI, meskipun tadi langkahnya bukan giant step mungkin ya Pak Bahtiar ya, masih sifatnya rintisan. Baik, terima kasih Dr. Nunung. Berikutnya kami mengundang FIO representatif untuk Indonesia dan juga Timor Leste, Mr. Rajendra Aryal, to present your topics. Your time is between 15 until 20 minutes. Pak Rajendra, please, time is yours.
Thank you, Pak Ali Muharram. I will not be that long. I think it's time to instigate and energize everybody, because I see people having side talks. Thank you very much. Mohon maaf ya, saya akan berbicara pagi hari ini dalam bahasa Inggris. Saya bisa bicara bahasa Indonesia sedikit aja, but I don't think I have the confidence to really present in bahasa. So if you can go to my presentation, it's about, food systems. I mean, we listened to very interesting presentations from Australia, from the UK, from Pa Bakhtiar, also from Indro. People, resources, and technology, right? Yes. This is what you said. These are three very important things for AI. I remember one journalist sometime back asked Elon Musk, is AI becoming a real threat? And I think that was a very critical question. I mean, is it becoming a threat or is it becoming an asset to us? And now if we look, sometimes, I try ChatGPT, and if I try to find some information, actually I try to find some information about Ukraine. And I saw only one way of information, meaning that somebody is controlling the information, right? So you will not get sort of like probably can you hear me? You cannot really get that sort of unbiased type of information. So we really need to see how we best make use of the artificial intelligence. We also, Pa Bakhtiar talked about the ethics. I think the professor from Australia, he also talked about ethics. I mean, these are the things, these are very challenging. I would like to give you a sort of like an overview of agri-food system. What is agri-food system? It's important to understand. It's not only agriculture. It's not only production. It's not only fisheries or forestry. It's the whole system that starts from production, from the field, up to consumption and even food loss and waste. Because I saw professor from Australia, he talked about food loss and waste. Tomorrow there's another session on food loss and waste as a series of this event, where people will be talking about food loss and waste. So this presentation will highlight how artificial intelligence, along with other advanced technologies, will be reshaping the agriculture landscape and opening up new possibilities for sustainable development. Next slide, please. Okay, artificial intelligence. It's like how artificial intelligence is now commonly implemented in different sectors. The technology that has permeated almost every aspect of society, and now familiarizing itself in the agri-food systems. The artificial intelligence and the Internet of Things, we call IoT, are the two most important technologies that are transforming the agri-food systems and opening new possibilities which have been unavailable by conventional methods. And in fact, the global market of AI is growing at a very staggering rate, 23% annually. And this will lead to more solutions in agri-food systems that will be based on data, the Internet of Things, IoT, AI, and image processing, which will eventually become one inseparable entity. Yesterday, we were talking to some experts from China about the production bar. And, remember agriculture. Like few years back, people used to transplant the rice seedlings, right? Which was replaced by all these mechanized direct seed rates using the machines. And now they're using drones. And now the drone technology, which is very much based on AI, is not only decreasing the seed rate significantly, but also determining the type of soil, the pH level, the water requirement, which is, and human resources. Now you don't need people to really do the transplantation because the seeding is done by the drones. This is not only decreasing the production cost, but also increasing the productivity and also lowering the production, lowering the production cost. Now, we are in a situation in Indonesia where we are blessed with demography, the young population. We have tremendous amount of land in the country, some of the wetlands. There are 10 million hectares of wetland, unused. Now, actually, the minister is, talking about like, how can we make use of this unused land? And so yesterday we had that discussion on like piloting. Can we do some piloting? Taking some good practices, let's say from China or Vietnam. Because, having all these blessings, Indonesia's agriculture is not yet competitive vis-a-vis Thailand or Vietnam. You see, because they are selling the market, the food at a cheaper price. And there was this presentation also from the prof from Australia talking about the traceability. I was talking to someone in the European Union. He was saying, yes, we are very much willing to buy the products from Indonesia, but we need to see the traceability. Where does the rice come from? What sort of pesticides are used? What sort of technology is used? And if we cannot do that using the conventional method, I think we have to use the AI. And AI would be that tool. So it's a tool. I think you mentioned that, Indro. Yeah, it's not sort of like something that is playing on our head, but rather we use it as a tool. Next slide, please. So what is the definition of utilization of AI in agri-food systems? The AI methodology that's being used in agri-food system are IoT, Internet of Things, machine learning, expert systems, image processing, and computer vision. And this should not be possible without the reliance of large amount of data derived from various accompanying technologies such as drones, IoT devices like computers, servers, and cameras, and data, and also unbiased data. Two systems that are relevant are machine learning and deep learning that require extra equipment like sensors, communication channels, and cloud-based storage and processing. And the application of AI in agri-food system using the methodology and system will discover the hidden data dependencies, creating new knowledge using complex math, statistics, expert decisions, and mimics these processes. And sorry, I'm not expert. Like I have been listening to the professors from universities and also by Indro and Bakhtiar, and I'm sure Bapak. I'm a journalist, Today I'm talking about AI. Tomorrow I have to talk about food loss and waste. And next week I have to go to one university to motivate the younger generation and attract them into food systems. So I'm just talking, based on what I have understood and what my colleagues have advised. Next slide, please. But how can AI be used in the agri-food systems? So smart farming, as we talked about, crop selection, disease detection, smart irrigation, yield prediction, soil and weather data analysis, stress detection, farm automation, fertilization, and seed prediction and intelligent spraying, also including the seeding. Second is the agriculture robot, using the sensors, the machine vision, the models, robots, that makes possible also the harvesting and so on. Then the third thing is supply chain. Since we are talking about agri-food systems, it's not only production. The supply chain optimization, logistics, food delivery, food processing, machinery, and so on, and the satellite imaging. And one important thing that we have to understand, having young population in the country, the younger generation are not interested in agri-food system anymore. So there was this agriculture census 2023 last year in Indonesia. More than 70% of the farmers or fishers are above 40. Now look at the demography. What happens in 20 years? We'll have aging farmers and the young people are not interested. How do we make agriculture or fisheries interesting for the younger generation? I was in Cirebon sometime back last year, and I was talking to the young fishers who have been doing fishing for the generations. But now they are not interested to go back to the sea because they say the amount of blue swimming crab that we catch and we sell to the middleman coming to the village doesn't even allow us to buy 2 packs of cigarettes. So why should I go into the sea, the whole day to catch few kilos of blue swimming crab, where if I go to Surabaya or Medan or Jakarta, I can get a job? I think we are facing that challenge. Having the demography as a blessing, but still the challenge to attract the younger people. So how can we attract? We have to use the technology. We have to somehow, make them attracted, and AI would be the tool that can attract the younger people to come into farming and food production and the food system. Next slide, please. AI and machine learning, the transformation. So the AI and machine learning are also transforming the livestock management and animal health. In poultry sector, the AI are applied to monitoring and control the poultry housing environment, such as odor monitoring, ventilation system, temperature, etc. And same in animal health and performance sector. But also AI can assist in quality assurance in crop and fisheries. In Singapore, for instance, they are using AI in the aquaculture sector, where they are replacing the manual checking system for large fish production. Previously, the hatchery technicians had to manually check and notify samples in Singapore for quality, and that made the supply chain slower. But now the artificial intelligence is helping them. In Thailand, rice sector, the AI is supporting rice quality inspection, which is faster, efficient, and accurate. And that's how they are making the rice production competitive. You remember the El Nino effect last year we had? When the last harvest was a bit shaky in Indonesia, actually we had lower harvest in December, the third harvest. Thailand had 10 million metric ton in the reserve. I met the Thai ambassador and he asked me, Indonesia is willing to buy rice from us. Of course, because Indonesia has a huge population. And they are making, use of the AI technology for rice. That can be done by us here. We can do it. Next slide, please. Example from India. In the southern part of India, in a state called Telangana, AI is used. They are using the chat bot, not chat GPT, but chat bot. They are using the chat bot advisory services for soil testing technology, quality testing and digital platform to connect buyers and sellers on chili farming, So the pilot project benefited like 7,000 farmers, and now it's expected to benefit more than 500,000 farmers. So the takeaway is that AI is not only supporting farmers, but also the sellers from the farm to the table. Means that's again the value chain, that the whole agri-food systems. And once I was in NTT, and I met one farmer who was growing corn. I asked him like, where do you get this variety? Because the corn was really impressive. He was using conservation agriculture. He was not using fertilizer. He was using the organic manure, and the corn was very impressive. And he was also, he had also learned that the technique to manage the pests. So I was asking him like, where do you buy the seed and where do you sell your corn? And he says, my son is helping me. Thanks to the infrastructure. You know, the AI, I mean, the digital infrastructure, the internet system in Indonesia is amazing. I think in Asia, we are much ahead of the curve vis-a-vis many other countries or even other regions. And if you see, even you go to Australia or Professor, you can confirm, Australia or UK or the US, all the IT experts, most of the IT experts come from Asia. So I think we already have that value addition. Next slide, please. Example from Thailand, the food loss and waste. You know, Thailand is adopting something called Smart Way, which is integrating AI to identify products that is nearing expiration. We heard the example from Australia. Food is abundantly produced, but 1/3 of the food is lost. America, the same. Indonesia is one of the countries having very high percentage of food loss and waste. One of probably the top 10. And a lot of things in the supermarket, they are expired without people noticing it. And this is where Thailand has brought this innovative Smart Way, you know, and they are implementing that in stores. So simple technology that can be used. Next slide, please. FAO is also putting AI as a top priority, you know, linking this with agri-food systems. FAO implemented a flagship initiative called Digital Village. It was implemented worldwide. It serves as a knowledge and mapping platform for digital solutions in agri-food systems. Indonesia is one of the pilot countries where we supported the e-agriculture strategy and potentially benefiting also 20 villages with the Digital Village initiative. There are some links. We can share the slide later, yeah. The links, if you go to the links, you can get more information. Next slide, please. That's another example of applying the Digital Village initiative in Indonesia, in Indramayu, the Soge village. In this village, the focus on fisheries, includes the implementation of automatic feeders and smartphones that synchronize the feeding schedules with input loans and e-commerce support. And the younger generation, actually young people are applying it. And this is really impressive work, which integrates the IoT system, for the implementation of AI. Next slide, please. Okay, now there are also challenges. I think Bakhtiar, you already talked about challenges. Professor from Australia also mentioned about the challenges. Where AI seems like a treasure to be rushed into, we have to ensure a very strong preparation and strategy. The data requirements, because there's a lot of data needed to generate accurate and reliable knowledge and decisions. Privacy concerns, we talked about it. The scalability and customization, because agri-food systems is very wide, so the AI solution must be scalable or customizable. Adaptation barrier, there is the people need that technical expertise to understand, operate and maintain. The digital divide, we saw that, in different parts of the country, even in Gorontalo, you're talking about. So digital divide, even in country like India, where, on one side you see very high tech like Bangalore or Hyderabad, and if you go to the villages, they are probably like 100 years back. So you can see the divide very clearly. Then regulatory oversight and investment. The AI requires very careful regulatory oversight, significant investment in technology, infrastructure, and training. So in summary, we have AI as the tool. We can use this as a tool for the benefits of the farmers, for the benefits of the agri-food system. But we have some roadblocks, we have some barriers. But I think these barriers are not that significant. I think over the course of time, we can come over the challenges facing in AI in agri-food systems, and we can move further. Next slide, please. Thank you very much. We have the QR code, so if you scan the QR code, you can also get the presentation. Terima kasih.
Terima kasih Pak Rajendra atas paparannya. Tadi beliau sangat menginspirasi ya, pengalaman-pengalaman AI sudah mulai dilaksanakan di sektor pertanian dalam arti luas. Jadi mulai dari tidak dari konsumsi produksi, tapi juga konsumsi sampai pengurangan food loss and waste. Jadi ini isu utama masalah makanan-makanan atau pangan yang terbuang ya, yang tidak dimanfaatkan, dan juga tadi masalah traceability karena ini menjadi isu utama di dalam perdagangan internasional, masalah traceability ke depannya. Dan juga satu hal lagi Pak Rajendra sampaikan, bagaimana mengattract generasi muda di sektor pertanian, karena sebagian besar generasi muda petani sekarang adalah petani-petani tua yang tidak catch up dengan teknologi. Nah, teknologi ini termasuk AI bisa dipakai untuk menggait generasi muda masuk ke sektor pertanian. Baik, terima kasih. Thank you very much Pak Rajendra for presentation. Last but not least, we invite the presenter from Bank Indonesia, Pak Jarod Susanto, yang akan menyampaikan materi terkait dengan peran BI dalam meningkatkan daya saing industri lokal. Kami persilahkan Pak Jarod Susanto, waktu sekitar 15-20 menit.
Terima kasih Bapak Moderator. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Salam Om Swastiastu, Namo Buddhaya, salam kebajikan, dan selamat pagi Bapak Ibu sekalian. Izin kami menyampaikan dalam bahasa Indonesia. I would like to deliver my presentation in bahasa. Terima kasih pada konteks pada siang hari ini. Kami juga sangat terima kasih diundang pada kesempatan untuk presentasi bahwa sebenarnya Bank Indonesia ini memiliki banyak keterkaitan ya dengan BP POM juga. Karena kebetulan dari 2.200 UMKM yang kami bina, itu 70%-nya adalah industri pengolahan dan terutama industri makanan dan minuman. Dan tentunya ini sangat terkait dengan BP POM bahwa UMKM kita untuk akses ke pasar yang lebih luas lagi. Mungkin pertanyaan awal yang dapat kami sampaikan, kenapa Bank Indonesia sebagai bank sentra juga ikut serta dalam pengembangan UMKM. Mungkin Bapak Ibu juga sudah paham ya Bapak Ibu bahwa UMKM kita itu memiliki peran yang strategis di dalam perekonomian kita. Mereka itu mencakup 99% dari pelaku usaha kita, 95% menyerap tenaga kerja, dan 60% berkontribusi kepada PDB kita. Jadi memang peran UMKM kita sangat besar. Dan kenapa Bank Indonesia juga turut serta? Tentunya yang pertama, Bank Indonesia sebagai bagian dari pemerintah, kita juga full support dari program yang dilakukan oleh pemerintah kita, dan tentunya juga melalui tugas-tugas yang menjadi tanggung jawab Bank Indonesia. Mungkin bisa ke slide keempat. Kita atau Bank Indonesia memiliki 3 tugas pokok, yaitu stabilitas nilai rupiah, kemudian stabilitas sistem keuangan, dan stabilitas sistem pembayaran. Bagaimana ini bisa terkait dengan pengembangan UMKM? Mungkin dari stabilitas nilai rupiah, antara lain kita bisa melihat dari inflasi pangan yang terkendali. Nah, disinilah Bank Indonesia kemudian bersama-sama dengan KL terkait, kita membina UMKM yang menjadi produsen pangan, yaitu terutama beras, cabai, dan bawang. Kemudian juga dukungan kita terhadap ekspor. Sebagai informasi, mungkin juga Bapak Ibu juga pernah mendengar bahwa pemerintah pada tahun 2024 ini menargetkan kontribusi ekspor dari UMKM kita itu sebesar 17%. Tetapi pada kondisi saat ini itu baru mencapai 15%. Jadi Bank Indonesia juga mendorong UMKM kita untuk go ekspor. Kemudian terkait dengan stabilitas sistem keuangan, ini tentunya terkait dengan sejauh mana kita bisa mengakses pasar keuangan kita. Mungkin dari yang paling simpel adalah akses kepada perbankan, tabungan, deposito, kemudian tingkat lagi ke investasi dan pembiayaan. Kemudian minta tolong di slide keempat, mungkin Bapak Ibu bisa melihat. Nah, ini dia yang terakhir, ada ketiga adalah stabilitas sistem pembayaran yang sebelumnya Bapak Ibu. Ini terkait dengan penguatan kapasitas digital UMKM. Nah, konteksnya sebagaimana tugas Bank Indonesia sistem pembayaran, mungkin yang hari-hari ini sudah sering Bapak Ibu pakai juga adalah KRIS, transaksi pembayaran. Jadi Bapak Ibu mungkin sudah jarang membawa uang tunai yang cukup banyak, Kemudian juga BIFAS, kalau Bapak Ibu transfer BIFAS 2.500 itu cepat, 24 jam bisa langsung digunakan. Nah itu contoh, kita juga mengedukasi UMKM kita untuk bisa menggunakan fasilitas sistem pembayaran yang telah disediakan oleh Bank Indonesia. Strategi apa yang kami gunakan di sini ada 3, yaitu korporatisasi, kapasitas, dan pembiayaan. Apa itu konteks korporatisasi? Mungkin next slide. Nah, konteks korporatisasi ada 3, yaitu penguatan kelembagaan. Kalau misalnya UMKM awalnya adalah individu, kemudian kita dorong mereka mulai berkelompok. Setelah berkelompok, mereka mulai memiliki badan usaha, koperasi, CV, PT, dan sebagainya. Kemudian yang kedua terkait peningkatan skala ekonomi. Dari skala ekonomi yang kecil, kemudian menengah, harapan kita juga bisa berkembang menjadi besar. Dan kemudian yang ketiga adalah penguatan kemitraan. Nah tentunya Bank Indonesia tidak bisa sendirian, di sini kami juga bekerja sama dengan KL, baik mungkin dari konteks kalau sekarang ini adalah BPOM untuk perizinan untuk edar makanan, kemudian dari Kementerian Perindustrian terkait dengan sertifikasi HACCP dan lain sebagainya. Kemudian dari yang kedua adalah strategi kapasitas. Nah Bapak Ibu kalau melihat dari skala ekonomi UMKM kita, ini yang dibina oleh Bank Indonesia kita membagi dalam 4 dari kelompok subsisten atau ini kita sebut sebagai ultra mikro sampai ke yang menengah. Masing-masing dari skala UMKM ini mendapatkan bantuan teknis atau fasilitasi yang sama dari Bank Indonesia sesuai dengan kapasitas yang mereka miliki. Oke, sebagai gambaran, kalau untuk kelompok subsisten, kelompok ultramikro ini adalah usaha kecil yang memiliki rintisan usaha. Sebagai gambaran adalah misalnya rumah tangga biasa yang memiliki warung di depan rumahnya, itu dia. Apa bentuk fasilitasi yang mereka butuhkan? Paling simpel adalah pelatihan mengenai pemisahan keuangan. Oh ibu, ini adalah hasil usaha warung ibu, ini adalah uang yang ibu gunakan kemudian untuk membiayai rumah tangga. Karena dapat kami sampaikan juga, untuk kelompok ultramikro ini ada kelompok-kelompok yang memang perlu kita berdayakan dengan lebih jauh lagi. Seperti kita memiliki kelompok perempuan yang merupakan survivor dari KDRT atau perempuan yang merupakan ibu rumah tangga tunggal. Jadi mereka itu hanya hidupnya dari hari per hari, penghasilan hari ini yang buat makan hari ini. Itulah yang kemudian kita coba tingkatkan kapasitasnya dari upaya pelatihan pemisahan keuangan untuk bisnisnya, pengembangan usahanya ke depan maupun untuk kehidupan mereka sehari-hari. Kalau kita meningkat lebih tinggi lagi, kalau di usaha menengah ini akan tentunya berbeda. Kalau tadi kita bicara ibu-ibu yang perlu pendampingan yang khusus, skala usaha menengah itu mungkin juga masih ibu-ibu, tapi ibu-ibu pengusaha mutiara yang ada di Lombok, yang mereka sudah bergerak kepada pasar internasional, mengikuti pameran jewelry yang ada di Singapura, ada di mana. Tentunya ini kami juga bekerja sama dengan KBRI maupun atas perdagangan kita yang ada di luar negeri untuk menginformasikan terkait dengan promosi perdagangan yang ada di luar negeri untuk mendorong UMKM kita dan mensupport ekspor negara kita untuk menjadi lebih baik lagi. Kemudian strategi yang ketiga adalah pembiayaan. Kami melihat bahwa untuk masuk ke akses pembiayaan ini kepada lembaga-lembaga keuangan, perbankan, antara lain salah satunya perlunya adanya historical record. Bagaimana usaha yang dikembangkan oleh UMKM kita itu memberikan suatu prospek yang cerah bahwa mereka itu layak untuk dibiayai, mereka itu untuk layak berkembang. Nah, disinilah Bank Indonesia, kami di Departemen Pengembangan UMKM dan Perlindungan Konsumen ini mengembangkan suatu aplikasi yang namanya si APIK, yaitu Sistem Aplikasi Pencatatan Informasi Keuangan. Nah, di sini kami mengajarkan kepada UMKM kita untuk pemisahan pengelolaan keuangannya, uang yang menjadi bagian usaha yang kemudian diputar lagi, kemudian yang bisa diinvestasikan agar pencatatan mereka itu menjadi lebih baik. Ketika mereka masuk ke bank pasti akan nanya, bagaimana prospek usaha Bapak Ibu? Oh, mereka bisa menunjukkan, di sini pendapatan saya, pengeluaran saya, sehingga saya memiliki pendapatan sekian. Sehingga bank itu bisa melihat, oh ibu atau bapak ini usahanya bisa dibiayai. Begitu juga dengan pemanfaatan kris. Kalau kris, otomatis kalau kita membayar sebagai customer itu langsung masuk ke rekening mereka, itu tercatat, dan itu catatannya terlihat dengan jelas ketika mereka juga masuk ke dalam lembaga keuangan, itu bisa menjadi sumber atau dasar bagi pembiayaan selanjutnya. Nah, Bapak Ibu, dalam konteks yang kami sampaikan pada siang hari ini adalah terkait dengan digitalisasi dan ekspor. Untuk tantangan yang kita hadapi tentunya juga kita sadari tidak mudah ya Bapak Ibu ya, bahwa terkait dengan akses pembiayaan tadi juga kita masih relatif rendah. Mungkin next slide, kita masih 20% saja yang sudah dibiayai oleh lembaga keuangan. Next slide please. Kemudian juga dari kontribusi UMKM kita, dari sisi ekspor tadi kita juga sudah tahu bahwa kita masih 15% dari harapan 17%. Nah, mungkin dari konteksnya ekspor itu ada beberapa kendala yang kita hadapi, antara lain belum optimalnya kualitas, kuantitas, dan kapasitas dari UMKM kita. Kemudian dari sisi manajemen juga kita kemampuan bahasa asing yang masih kurang dimiliki UMKM kita, termasuk juga dari akses pasar. Ini kita masih perlu adanya informasi market intelligence. Misalnya produk apa yang disukai di Singapura, produk apa yang disukai di Jepang. Tentunya ini kan sesuai dengan atau apa menjadi dasar dari UMKM kita untuk memproduksi dan memasarkan produknya sesuai dengan pasarnya. Kemudian dari sisi UMKM digital, ini dari 65 juta UMKM kita itu secara nasional baru 38%-nya yang sudah mengakses ke digitalisasi. Mungkin secara umum akses infrastruktur kita sudah baik, namun memang masih belum merata. Sebagai gambaran saja, saya pernah bertugas di KPW Bank Indonesia atau kantor perwakilan Bank Indonesia di Bali. Itu di Bali daratan memang sudah cukup akses, tapi ketika kita bergerak ke Pulau Nusa Penida itu kita harus mengakses dari pinggir pelabuhan untuk mendapatkan akses infrastruktur jaringan internet yang lebih baik. Kemudian juga dari sisi SDM, nah ini juga SDM mungkin tadi ada keengganan dari mereka untuk belajar digital karena faktor usia atau juga karena mereka sudah nyaman dengan kondisi yang mereka saat ini, atau juga mereka merasa bahwa tidak tertarik bahkan untuk mengenal lebih jauh mengenai digitalisasi. Ini juga jadi menjadi salah satu PR kita. Dan kemudian yang terkait dengan digital adalah juga perlunya sistem logistik kita yang diperbaiki lagi. Next slide. Nah, ini adalah gambaran saja. Tadi kalau Bank Indonesia itu memiliki 2.200-an binaan, 1.500-nya ini sudah kita akses dengan digitalisasi. Dan secara umum memang UMKM kita itu didominasi oleh UMKM usaha mikro dan juga industri sektor pengolahan, termasuk di dalamnya makanan minuman olahan. Kemudian next slide, kita bicara dari kalau sektor ekspor ini juga bahkan juga masih lebih kecil daripada digitalisasi, karena memang ketika kita bicara ekspor ada hal-hal yang harus dipenuhi oleh UMKM kita sebelum mereka bisa bergerak ke dalam pasar yang lebih luas lagi. Di sini kita ada 508 UMKM dari 2.200 binaan kita. Next slide. Terkait dengan digitalisasi, ini tentunya Bank Indonesia bergerak seperti kami sampaikan di awal adalah dari sisi supply-nya kami menyiapkan sesuai dengan tanggung jawab Bank Indonesia, yaitu sistem pembayaran. Nah, seperti kris, BIFAS tadi. Jadi kita bergerak dari situ, fasilitas infrastruktur yang kita siapkan ada di situ. Next slide please. Nah, ada 3 upaya untuk mempersiapkan UMKM go digital. Pertama, e-farming, digital farming. Tadi mungkin sudah banyak dijelaskan oleh Pak Rajendra, ini juga sudah kita coba terapkan. Mungkin dari sisi hulu, misalnya pemasangan sensor cuaca, sensor tanah, kemudian otomasi irigasi, itu yang kita siapkan, kita dorong juga UMKM kita di pertanian untuk mengadop digital farming. Kemudian dari sisi hilirnya, ini kita juga mendorong mereka, sama seperti kita juga mendorong UMKM kita yang bergerak di industri pengolahan makanan minuman atau kerajinan, yaitu adalah onboarding UMKM, mencoba masuk ke pasar e-commerce. Mungkin dimulai dari awal, yaitu melalui media sosial, Instagram, TikTok, dan lain-lain. Kemudian masuk ke toko pasar yang lebih luas lagi seperti Tokopedia, kemudian Bukalapak, Blibli, dan lain sebagainya. Dan yang ketiga ini dari e-financing support tadi, yaitu aplikasi untuk pencatatan keuangan. Ini yang sudah coba kami dorong dan secara rutin kami juga deliver kepada UMKM kita. Ini menyambung yang disampaikan juga Pak Bahtiar tadi, memang pengembangan UMKM di Bank Indonesia itu dilakukan secara desentralisasi, yaitu dilakukan oleh kantor-kantor perwakilan kami yang ada di daerah kami. Ada 46 kantor perwakilan daerah, salah satunya disebut Pak Bahtiar di Gorontalo. Kita juga punya di segala provinsi, di 34 provinsi dan ditambah 12 kabupaten kota. Dan mereka itu mengembangkan program yang sama, digital farming, kemudian onboarding UMKM, pelatihan financing support begitu. Dan di sini kami juga mungkin Pak Ali dan Bapak Ibu di BPOM mungkin pada kesempatan edukasi kita ke UMKM bisa kolaborasi terkait ini ya Pak ya. Kita di aplikasi yang dimiliki BPOM itu juga perlu disebarluaskan juga ke UMKM kami juga supaya mereka paham kemana harus pergi, kemana harus mencari informasi ini supaya produk yang mereka produksi itu bisa diterima oleh masyarakat. Selanjutnya ini terkait dengan UMKM ekspor ya Bapak Ibu. UMKM ekspor, kami ada framework ke UMKM ekspor kami terfokus pada 4 komoditas potensial, yaitu kopi, kain kerajinan, makanan minuman olahan, dan spices. Upaya yang kami lakukan itu sebagaimana kami sampaikan di awal adalah mensupport usaha pemerintah untuk mendorong kontribusi UMKM kita terhadap ekspor nasional. Namun kita juga paham bahwa tantangan untuk masuk ke pasar global itu tidak mudah. Yang pertama tadi pasar market intelligence, apa yang dibutuhkan oleh pasar-pasar tujuan kita. Bagaimana mereka harus masuk ke sana. Sebagai contoh kami juga mengikutkan UMKM kita ke promosi perdagangan khusus makanan minuman olahan. Kebetulan ini ada 2 treatment yang berbeda. Kami pernah ikut di Foodex Jepang sama Seoul Food. Nah, untuk Foodex Jepang itu bahkan harus dikirim 1 bulan sebelumnya untuk diuji lab kesiapan UMKM kita, apakah kandungan-kandungan di dalamnya itu sesuai dengan pasar Jepang. Sementara kalau di Korea ya tinggal kirim aja begitu, tidak perlu seribet harus di Jepang. Nah, inilah yang perlu diketahui oleh UMKM kita sejauh mana mereka harus bisa sesuai dengan pasar tujuan. Kemudian ada kendala lainnya yaitu 5K dan 2S. 5K terkait dengan kualitas, kapasitas, kontinuitas, kemudian kemasan dan kualitasnya, serta standarisasi dan sertifikasi. Inilah juga yang kami masih coba dorong UMKM kita untuk bisa masuk ke pasar global. Ada 2 strategi utama yang kami lakukan, yaitu di sini adalah pull strategi. Ini dari sisi permintaannya. Yang pertama tadi market intelligence, informasi pasar, kemudian kurasi dan promosi perdagangan. Kemudian juga sinergi dengan stakeholder, ini juga terkait dengan dukungan dari KL dan lembaga lainnya, setelah business matching. Kemudian dari sisi push strategi, ini dari sisi supply-nya. Yang pertama adalah narrowing the gap. Kami mencoba untuk mengurangi gap yang dihadapi oleh UMKM kita ketika harus masuk ke pasar internasional. Kemudian juga pemanfaatan digitalisasi serta akses pembiayaan, ini termasuk juga secara syariah, dan capacity building bekerja sama dengan stakeholder lainnya. Tujuannya apa? Selain meningkatkan ekspor tadi, juga peningkatan dari sisi 5K dan 2S-nya serta aksesibilitas dari UMKM kita. Nah, Bank Indonesia kami memiliki ada 6 flagship program di sini untuk mendukung UMKM Go Global. Yang pertama adalah panduan modul ekspor. Jadi Bapak Ibu kami sudah mengeluarkan panduan ekspor yang bisa di-download secara gratis di website kami. Kemudian juga ini perluasan trading house. Jadi kami bekerja sama dengan KBRI dan atas perdagangan di luar negeri. Ada beberapa trading house yang dibuka secara bersama-sama. Mungkin sebagai contohnya, kalau Bapak pernah mendengar ada Indonesia House of Bean, itu ada di beberapa negara ya Pak. Jadi itu adalah trading house kita yang memasarkan UMKM kopi kita. Jadi produk kopi kita dipasarkan di sana sehingga itu bisa dikenal luas oleh pasar internasional. Kemudian yang ketiga terkait dengan penajaman e-katalog, ini selalu kami perbarui untuk event-event promosi perdagangan. Kemudian selected and targeted trade promotion, ini promosi perdagangan internasional yang kami ikuti tentunya dipilih sesuai dengan komoditas UMKM yang potensial yang menjadi fokus utama dari kami. Antara lain kopi, kemudian tadi mainan makanan olahan, jadi kita ada ikut di promosi-promosi perdagangan di luar negeri terkait dengan promosi perdagangan yang makanan minum olahan. Kalau mungkin Bapak Ibu mungkin pernah mendengar kalau di Indonesia kita ada Trade Expo Indonesia yang diinisiasi oleh Kementerian Perdagangan. Nah itulah kaliber yang promosi perdagangan yang kami ikut sertakan juga untuk UMKM kita. Ya, kemudian juga platform Hub Ekspor ini kami memiliki suatu platform yaitu Indonesia SME Hub. Jadi di mana platform ini menjadi etalase bagi UMKM kami yang sudah terkurasi. Jadi dari UMKM yang 500 tadi yang sudah siap ekspor itu kami kurasi lagi. Yang kemudian yang terpilih kami tampilkan di dalam Indonesia SME Hub di situ, dan di situ kami juga menghadirkan buyer-buyer. Kebetulan kami memiliki 5 kantor perwakilan di luar negeri, ada di Tokyo, Beijing, Singapura, London, dan New York. Jadi mereka membawa buyer-buyernya untuk join di dalam Indonesia SME Hub itu, sehingga mereka bisa melihat produk-produk ke UMKM kita yang berkualitas di sini. Dan yang keenam adalah terkait dengan ekspor halal hub. Ini kebetulan ada departemen kami khusus yang mengurusi terkait dengan ekonomi keuangan syariah. Di sini kami juga mengembangkan suatu hub untuk ekspor khusus produk-produk halal yang dikembangkan oleh rekan-rekan kami di departemen ekonomi dan keuangan syariah. Mungkin slide yang terakhir ini Bapak Ibu, kami hanya ingin menjelaskan milestone dari pengembangan UMKM Go Ekspor kami pada tahun 2019. Kami mengeluarkan model bisnis terkait dengan UMKM kopi dan kain kerajinan, dan pada tahun 2024 ini kami sedang bekerja sama dengan salah satu institusi pendidikan untuk mengembangkan model bisnis terkait dengan UMKM makanan minuman olahan. Jadi Bapak Ibu mungkin izin sebelum mengakhiri presentasi kami, mungkin salah satu kunci yang kami ingin sampaikan sekaligus ini juga permohonan adalah terkait dengan kolaborasi Bapak Ibu, baik dengan Bapak Ibu yang ada di sini maupun dengan Bapak Ibu yang ada di luar. Kita memiliki tujuan yang sama, mungkin terkait dengan digitalisasi ataupun dengan ekspor. Ini adalah kunci bahwa kita bisa bersama-sama mendorong UMKM kita untuk menjadi lebih maju atau menjadi naik kelas. Mungkin demikian Pak Moderator, terima kasih. Wassalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.
Waalaikumsalam warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Pak Jarod Susanto, terima kasih sudah berbagi pengalaman ya terkait dengan pembinaan UMKM. Lebih kurang 2.200 ya Pak ya, dan 1.500 diantaranya sudah menjalankan digitalisasi. Satu hal yang penting yang terakhir Bapak sampaikan, kolaborasi. Mudah-mudahan tadi Bapak sampaikan juga dengan Badan POM bisa dijajaki ya, kolaborasi dalam pembinaan UMKM, terutama dengan teman-teman di Kedeputian 3 banyaknya Pak di kami itu untuk pembinaan UMKM, dan juga di Kedeputian juga ada sebetulnya Pak untuk obat tradisional dan kosmetik. Ya, skala usahanya banyak yang melakukan kegiatan tersebut pada skala usaha UMKM. Mudah-mudahan nanti bisa dijajaki oleh teman-teman di Badan POM. Baik Bapak Ibu, berikutnya mungkin ada tanggapan terhadap pemaparan 6 presenter tadi ya. Kami undang pertama dari Telkomsel untuk menyampaikan tanggapan terhadap tadi paparan-paparan secara umum, khususnya terkait dengan penggunaan AI dalam registrasi pangan olahan. Mungkin yang sudah hadir dari Telkomsel, silakan Pak. Monggo Pak.
Ya, terima kasih atas undangan. Kami dari Telkomsel layanan yang bisa kami bantu, misalnya tadi di mention Internet of Things ya. Jadi kami menyediakan jaringan. Jadi semua sensor yang dipasang baik di kebun itu bisa memungkinkan jalan semua karena ada jaringan. Nah itu yang akan kami bantu. Kemudian Telkomsel juga melakukan pengembangan AI juga Pak secara internal, dan saya khususnya, terima kasih. Pekerjaan saya setiap hari adalah membuat model untuk use case di dalam Telkomsel sendiri. Nah terkait dengan tadi BPOM Pak untuk registrasi ya, masih manual mungkin Pak. Jadi Bapak udah mention tadi teknologi seperti speech to text. Kadang-kala orang maaf ya, bukan cuma susah untuk isi data, tapi mungkin tingkat pendidikan. Jadi mungkin kita bisa bikin aplikasi speech to text gitu. Kemudian secara otomatis akan update datanya Pak. Jadi misalnya kita akan capture 6 data Pak. Misalnya nama, alamat, bidang usaha, segala macam. Cukup disebutin aja. Nanti udah ada AI yang bisa speech to text ya. Kayak ChatGPT udah ada. Dia bisa tangkap semua. Kemudian data yang dibutuhkan 6, 7, 10 segala macam itu bisa diupdate secara otomatis. Itu kalau registrasi Pak. Kemudian stakeholder yang kedua, kalau kita lihat framework EPIC tadi dari Profesor Dian kan, community impact Pak, yang paling penting. Sebagai masyarakat Pak, untuk obat-obatan khususnya, bisa nggak masyarakat lihat obat mereka takut atau expire kayak itu, mereka cuma scan pakai handphone, langsung dapat informasi semua Pak. BPOM punya data semua ya Pak ya, big datanya, tinggal kita kembangin aplikasinya, masyarakat yang concern nggak perlu ketik, cukup foto, kemudian kirim di aplikasi, dapat informasi semua tentang itu. Dan itu kayaknya bisa Pak, bisa dikembangkan. Sekarang itu udah mungkin bisa pakai computer vision. Yang penting tadi kita punya database untuk kenali obat apa ini, kemudian berbahaya apa tidak, kapan expire segala macam. Kemudian kita level adopsi Pak, setelah dikembangkan, adopsinya bagaimana di masyarakat. Bahwa bisa gandeng partnership kayak Telkomsel, punya aplikasi yang populer di masyarakat untuk supaya meningkatkan, atau mungkin di kayak Gojek setelah dibuat bisa mungkin kerjasama seperti itu supaya masyarakat bisa dipakai ya tadi untuk registrasi sudah, tapi untuk impact juga ke masyarakat khusus yang terkait dengan obat-obatan itu bisa membantu. Dari saya mungkin tanggapan itu Pak, kalau mungkin ada klarifikasi atau pertanyaan silakan.
Baik Pak, nanti mungkin ada respon ya dari teman-teman pembicara, tetapi sebelumnya kami we invite respon atau or comment from ADB representative regarding the topic of the seminar. Sudah ada belum di ADB di online?
Hello.
Yeah, please your comment regarding the topic of
Thank you very much for giving me the word. So I'm Monica Petri. I intervene from ADB in Manila. I work in the agriculture, forest, and natural resource sector. And ADB recently, the agricultural sector has taken the decision to push further for the activities related to digitalization. And this is why I came on board. And especially we work not only about digital agriculture, but about digital public infrastructure for the agricultural sector. And this is why I'm here today. So as you can imagine, ADB, I mean, you know that ADB has a lot of technical assistance and a lot of support for investment in digitalization at the project scale. And in addition, also sovereign investment, working on different level of digital innovation. And we really work, just beyond the traceability and the certification of quality. We work in farmers registry, we work in soil registry, we work on custom regulations, we work on agrometeorology, we work on livestock systems, and et cetera, et cetera. For example, in Indonesia, we are starting now this project called Horticulture Development in Dryland Areas, in which I'm part of the team implementing it, in which we will develop a seed registry for horticulture. In principle, just to make you an example of the level of work we are doing, in India, for example, we are developing something called AgriStack, which will, when ready, will give the capability to link the farmer identification, the parcel identification, the crop calendar, so the presence of the crop in the field, the banking system, and the emission of subsidies, and also private sector banking loans, all in the same digital system from the government. So based on that, and based on the discussion that has been extremely rich, I would like to make some comment, if you allow me. I mean, first of all, I want to appreciate the fact that you are trying to learn as a government, that you are trying to learn from others. I mean, this is something that I have seen. I have followed up the development of digital public infrastructure in multiple countries, and sometimes it is easy to reinvent the wheel. Unfortunately, in this case, it's not happening. I mean, you ask for intervention from outside, and also what you are presenting is really at the edge of the technology and at the edge of the ideas about AI. So that's a really congratulate you. Some general comment regarding what has been presented and the problems that could arise over the development of this kind of, or the improvement of this kind of existing system. As we know in AI, very simple, sorry, I mean, somebody will laugh because everybody say that, but let me say that in AI, trash in, trash out. If the input data is bad, what the AI will produce will be bad. And we see that in the chat box, right? When we ask something to ChatGPT, the reply sometimes doesn't make any sense. So one issue that it's to be focused and tackled, and allow me to suggest, is that a quality control and quality assessment system of the input data should also be set up at the same time. I'm sure it exists already at government level, but in the moment in which one prepare a database for training an AI at the national scale, that's very complex and require a dedicated set of team that really control the testing of the entire AI system. It's really of quality, because the consequences of having this kind of system prepared without this kind of phase and also a continual follow-up of the quality can be disastrous. So based on my expertise, this is one of the key initial points that need to be taken into consideration. The other point is especially when one, I mean, I come from FAO. I'm relatively recently joining ADB. So when one tackles the entire food system, it is all like in the case of this type of applications and foul language. And in often cases, unfortunately, it is important to restart thinking about data sharing, because this system needs to include a lot of different data that sometimes are not taken into consideration when we work at the more broader economic level and not a sector level. Sometimes one needs the data on pest and disease, sometimes one needs the data on livestock vaccination, sometimes one needs soil maps, etc. So there is a point in which expanding the AI capability at national level can require additional data sharing that has not been yet taken into consideration. This may happen or not, but just to flag it. And then one point that is really specific about whatever is focusing on tracing agricultural products. In general, it is also good to link those systems with agrometeorology or agroclimatology in a way that the productivity that the country can bring to the supply chain during 1 year can be predicted in advance. These allow to monitor better the international import-export, the international trade, and also to predict food insecurities, etc. So, because in Indonesia there is a very strong meteorological entity and very competent, linking those two systems in a way that is not just the control, which is very important, of course, but also the prediction of the quantity of food available could stay in the same system. And then just to close my final remarks, it is that when one has to take a pilot or a small test and pass it to the national level, so to the digital public infrastructure level, there are always a mountain of additional problems that that are nearly unsurmountable and take a lot of time to solve before, especially when agriculture is in place. Just thinking that for agriculture to do a test, you need an entire cropping season. So you cannot do a test like with a financial system or with a payment system. The test takes 5 seconds, right? But for agriculture can take 6-9 months. So it is very, very important to create a broad arena of people thinking all together. And also it is very important to focus on the scale. When the pilots in agricultural digitalization are passed through from village to nation, especially in the case of Indonesia, it is a completely different level of problem, and it needs to be tackled with the scale in mind. And so very unfortunately, often the pilots do not work as well when we work at national level, while in other cases, it is essential to have near real-time data sharing from multiple agencies that it doesn't happen for, not for bad willingness, but even for faulty sensors, for faulty problems. So all this, so basically what I'm trying to say is that it is better to don't pilot. I mean, the pilot should be already at the scale or a very wide scale in order to be meaningful when we talk about digital public infrastructure. Thank you very much for letting me say some word on this. Thank you.
Thank you, Monica, for your comment. One thing that I remember about the data quality of that quality control of data. Jadi ini ya salah satu kunci dari AI ini adalah data yang akurat, garbage in, garbage out, karena once kita memproses ya data yang tidak akurat, outputnya pun pasti tidak bakalan bagus ya untuk siapapun, untuk pengambil keputusan maupun untuk publik. Kemudian kami juga mengundang satu lagi komen dari GAPMI terkait dengan penggunaan AI terutama dalam registrasi pangan olahan. Mungkin sudah hadir dari GAPMI, silakan Ibu untuk menyampaikan komen.
Baik, terima kasih. Baik, terima kasih Pak kesempatannya untuk kami memberikan masukan. Saya Reni dari GAPMI, Pak. Yang pertama kami akan sampaikan adalah Pak? Apresiasi. Jadi kami sangat mengapresiasi dengan inisiatif dari Badan POM, terutama di RPO, registrasi pangan olahan terkait dengan upaya upaya untuk mengimplementasikan atau memperbaiki prosesnya dengan menggunakan teknologi AI. Ini kenapa sangat kami apresiasi, karena benar sekali Pak, proses registrasi di Badan POM bagi pelaku usaha maupun PO sendiri itu merupakan suatu proses yang sangat panjang. Karena apa? Karena di situ kami melakukan kegiatan di dalam menginput banyak data, kemudian upload banyak data pun banyak beberapa data yang berulang kami harus lakukan di sana. Kemudian setelah itu dilakukan dari Badan POM kan akan melakukan verifikasi terhadap apa yang sudah kami input, apa yang sudah kami upload terkait dengan bagaimana implementasinya atau kesesuaiannya dengan regulasi. Seperti kita tahu, regulasi terkait pangan itu sangat banyak, Pak. Untuk memproduksi satu produk pangan bisa beredar di Indonesia itu kami harus mengimplementasikan bisa lebih dari 10 regulasi sehingga bisa dimengerti workload dari RPO itu sangat besar karena harus memastikan apa yang kami input, dokumen apa yang kami upload sesuai dengan regulasi-regulasi yang banyak itu memang diimplementasikan untuk produk yang akan diizinkan beredar di Indonesia. Sehingga dengan adanya upaya untuk menggunakan teknologi AI itu sangat membantu karena pasti akan jauh lebih efisien, proses untuk registrasinya akan lebih cepat sehingga hal yang sekarang ini adanya tambahan data yang cukup banyak atau tambahan data yang tidak relevan itu bisa dikurangi bahkan seperti itu. Jadi kami terkait dengan implementasinya nantinya, Pak. Data atau informasi yang kami sampaikan di Badan POM terkait dengan registrasi itu banyak menginformasikan terkait informasi yang rahasia karena kami menyampaikan formula produk sehingga kami berharap ketika nanti diimplementasikan bisa juga terjaga kerahasiaan dari informasi-informasi yang kami sampaikan di Badan POM untuk proses registrasinya. Seperti itu. Kemudian yang selanjutnya adalah terkait dengan pada saat implementasinya nanti kami berharap prosesnya juga bisa berjalan dengan mulus sehingga proses dilakukan tetapi bisnis kami tetap bisa berjalan dengan sebagaimana adanya karena belajar dari yang kemarin terkait dengan perubahan sistem itu kan ada beberapa juga yang kami sempat alami, industri alami terkait dengan tidak bisa diakses atau belum bisa. Jadi berharap dengan nantinya dilaksanakannya teknologi AI untuk proses registrasi pangan ini bisa tetap menjaga proses bisnis kami. Itu Pak, sekali lagi kami mengucapkan terima kasih banyak inisiatif Badan POM terkait dengan penggunaan AI dalam rangka melakukan registrasi yang lebih efisien, lebih cepat, sehingga nantinya ini akan mendukung dengan upaya perizinan berusaha, perizinan usaha yang lebih cepat, seperti itu. Terima kasih banyak.
Baik, terima kasih Bu Reni ya. Tadi yang terakhir sih kalau saya highlight transisi ya dari proses sekarang ke AI diharapkan tidak berjalan mulus ya, tidak menjadi hambatan terutama bagi pelaku usaha. Kemudian yang juga cukup penting data dan informasi perusahaan yang melakukan registrasi memohon untuk dijaga kerahasiaannya oleh Badan POM dan juga bisnis proses yang lebih pendek ya untuk perizinan, termasuk juga mengurangi human error dan subjektivitas pada saat pemeriksaan dokumen-dokumen yang disubmit oleh para pelaku usaha. Baik, terima kasih masukannya. Mungkin ada satu pertanyaan apa dua ya dari YouTube, dua ya, dua mirip pertanyaannya. Mungkin pertama terkait dengan penerapan AI dalam pengawasan pre-market hanya terbatas pada pangan olahan menengah rendah. Jika iya, apa perbedaannya dengan yang saat ini dijalankan pada sistem IREG RBA? Mungkin Pak Bobby mau merespon dulu yang dari YouTube ya.
Terima kasih Pak Ali. Mungkin saya jawab dalam bahasa Indonesia saja. Jadi ini sekaligus tadi juga merespon apa yang Ibu Monica dari ADB tadi sampaikan gitu ya. Jadi dan juga Bu Reni dari GAPMI karena ini menjadi satu kesatuan. Yang pertama kenapa kita mulai dari kategori resiko menengah rendah. Bukan berarti dua kategori lain seperti menengah tinggi dan tinggi tidak, tapi we start from the possible way gitu ya untuk project ini karena kan menjadi sebuah pilot project. Jadi bercermin pada data yang dari teman-teman RPO bahwa ternyata tingkat rejected gitu ya dari 3 kategori itu yang paling tinggi justru di menengah rendah, yaitu 19,65%. Sementara menengah tinggi dan tinggi itu hanya 5,06% dari aplikasi yang masuk. Dan penolakan ini bisa jadi karena tadi garbage in garbage out gitu ya. Termasuk juga tadi yang merespon Bu Reni bahwa data-data yang dimasukkan memang kompleks gitu ya, dan tidak yang ditemukan kami ada digital skills yang berbeda gitu ya. Kemudian pemahaman tadi di slide tentang industri, semakin besar skala usahanya, pemahaman atau pengetahuan tentang keamanan pangan ini lebih tinggi. Dan kapasitas untuk memenuhi itu terutama di dalam proses produksinya itu lebih bagus. Dan skala mikro dan kecil itu bisa memenuhi itu, terutama sebelum izin edar ya di HACCP itu biasanya dengan bantuan dari pihak luar, bukan dari dalam industrinya. Misalnya dari bantuan dari pemerintah pusat kepada dinas-dinas terkait untuk merevisi tempat usahanya gitu ya, memperbaiki, atau tadi Pak dapat dari Bank Indonesia untuk peralatan sehingga memenuhi standar keamanan pangan gitu ya. Jadi kalau mereka sendiri ini mereka kesulitan gitu. Itu yang pertama. Kemudian yang kedua adalah pemahaman tentang syarat-syarat ini gitu. Mikro kecil itu tidak seperti yang menengah besar yang cenderung lebih profesional. Mereka punya capacity, mereka punya network, mereka punya dedicated team untuk memahami. Mikro kecil itu soliter ya. Jadi apa namanya? Semua dikerjakan sendiri dari A to Z, sehingga kadang-kadang mereka untuk memahami bahasa-bahasa yang ini tidak mudah gitu ya. Itu yang kedua, sehingga perlu ada yang kami tekankan adalah nantinya bukan hanya di sistemnya RBA atau di RPO saja, tetapi juga nanti dari BPOM juga bisa memfasilitasi bagaimana membantu industri-industri ini, terutama mikro kecil gitu ya. Setidaknya mereka bisa exercise. Sekarang yang Siripo yang ada itu sangat sedikit dipakai gitu ya, sangat sedikit karena mereka pertama sosialisasi terbatas gitu ya, dan yang kedua mereka pakai boro-boro untuk pakai komputer saja kesulitan gitu ya. Ini yang terutama pada saat kita berbicara Indonesia Tengah dan Indonesia Timur ini menjadi challenge yang besar. Dan fungsi tadi yang di dalam AI yang akan kita kembangkan tahap pertama itu adalah memastikan dokumen-dokumen tadi adalah lengkap gitu ya, sesuai dan benar gitu. Nanti dari situ kemudian akan memberikan rekomendasi para evaluator yang ada di Direktorat RPO gitu kan. Jadi fungsinya adalah membantu tadi seperti yang Bu Nurul sampaikan, bagaimana mempercepat membaca data gitu. Tetapi decision making-nya tetap manusia untuk tahap ini gitu. Dan ini exercise-nya akan butuh waktu yang tidak sebentar gitu ya, karena memastikan bagaimana sistem ini trusted dan valid gitu ya, akurat dan sebagainya gitu. Jadi kalau yang dilihat oleh teman-teman industri tidak ada yang berubah, mungkin tidak ada yang berubah. Secara bisnis proses tidak banyak yang berubah, tetapi mungkin yang akan berubah akan semakin rigid pada barangkali ini pada aturan uploadnya gitu ya. Upload dokumen ya benar-benar dokumen yang sesuai dengan kaidah-kaidah yang ditetapkan gitu ya. Kalau misalnya nih foto dokumen gitu ya, ya seperti kalau kita lihat di aplikasi pinjol, kalau di KTP atau ininya nggak sesuai maka akan di reject, misalnya seperti itu. Nah itu kurang lebih yang akan kita kembangkan gitu, dan ini masih dalam tahap desain ya. Dan saya sepakat Bu, memang data security itu menjadi sesuatu yang crucial. Mungkin AI-nya tidak secara merta kemudian mengambil alih, tetapi yang perlu diwaspadai itu adalah bagaimana AI itu create a backdoor, bagaimana data itu menjadi leaking. Nah ini yang justru crucial nantinya pada saat kita bekerja bersama AI gitu ya. Kurang lebih demikian Mbak.
Baik, terima kasih Pak Bobi. Pak Indra ada komen nggak terkait tadi dari Telkomsel?
Baik Bapak, sebelumnya kami ucapkan selamat datang kepada Ibu PLT Deputi Bidang Pengawasan Pangan Olahan, Ibu Emma Setiawati, SSI PT MSC. Selamat siang Ibu, selamat datang dan selamat bergabung. Izin menginfokan Ibu, saat ini kita sedang di tengah sesi diskusi. Sebelumnya, tidak apa-apa Ibu, sebelumnya sudah disampaikan materi dari 6 narasumber. 4 bergabung secara luring di sini dan 2 lagi secara daring. Kemudian perwakilan dari FAO sudah meninggalkan tempat terlebih dahulu karena kesibukan yang lain. Kita lanjutkan sesi diskusi ya Bu ya. Baik, silakan Bapak.
Iya, izin Bu PLT Deputi 3. Tadi sebelum Bu PLT hadir, Mas Bobi menjelaskan mengenai BPOM Bu. Dan rasanya cocok juga sepertinya akan menjadi bagian dari RPO seperti itu. Jadi sudah sangat familiar sekali dengan RPO gitu ya. Jadi izin Bu PLT Deputi 3 merespon tadi Bapak dari Telkomsel ada 3 hal, cuman izin saya merespon secara keseluruhan ya Pak. Di slide saya yang nomor 6 mungkin teman-teman bisa tampilkan. Kami secara teknologi Pak, karena memang saya tidak terlalu mendetail bicara teknis tadi di paparan, tapi saya sampaikan di slide saya mengenai ini BPOM Mobile. Di sini ada seluruh fitur yang tadi Bapak sampaikan, bagaimana kemudian masyarakat bisa menggunakan sistem informasi ini untuk pengawasan dirinya sendiri, gitu ya. Tadi Bapak cerita bagaimana kemudian masyarakat bisa langsung scan, dapat informasi, kemudian bisa memilih dan memilah, bahkan kemudian memutuskan untuk membeli apa tidak begitu. Nah ini kami inisiasi sejak tahun 2017-2018 yang kemudian kami gabungkan, kami partnershipkan dengan teman-teman di pihak ketiga, termasuk juga dengan teman-teman industri yang kita naikkan levelingnya ke dalam track and trace. Tadi mungkin ada beberapa yang menyampaikan traceability. Di sini ada fitur-fitur yang kemudian teman-teman di registrasi, termasuk teman-teman di unit pengawasan itu bisa melakukan traceability terhadap produk yang sekarang ada di obat, yang di pangan, mulai sedikit demi sedikit akan juga masuk dalam konteks traceability track and trace tadi. Nah itu yang kemudian fitur-fitur yang terbaru Bapak, kemarin kami bersama dengan Ibu Deputi juga bicara ke internasional mengenai piloting terhadap e-labeling. Ini juga menjadi bagian dari transformasi digital yang ingin kami encourage di Indonesia, di mana teman-teman yang kemudian tidak perlu lagi melihat etiket secara printed kertas gitu, sudah juga ada di dalam digital informasi gitu ya. Jadi pengembangannya terus kita lakukan Pak, tidak menutup kemungkinan kami juga akan koordinasi dan kerjasama dengan teman-teman di ISP termasuk juga Telkomsel, itu terbuka lebar untuk kita bisa mengembangkan bagaimana sistem informasi ini atau aplikasi ini menjadi super app, one apps yang kemudian kita bisa gunakan bersama-sama, tidak hanya dari sisi masyarakat tapi juga teman-teman industri juga bisa memonitor juga produknya gitu ya, sampai di mana, kemudian dijual di mana. Kalau saya boleh buka di kami ada BPOM Operation Center, kami bisa tahu semua hal yang berkaitan dengan produk, di mana kemudian produk itu beredar dan juga pengawasan oleh teman-teman di UPT. Jadi kurang lebih itu Pak, tapi memang kami perlu ada pengembangan, kami perlu ada peningkatan terhadap keamanan, itu iya, tidak bisa kami berpuas diri terhadap hal ini, termasuk bagaimana flavor terhadap fitur-fitur yang ada, masyarakat itu juga perlu kita tambahkan gitu ya. Nah kemudian Monica 100% and more, I agree with you. I think beside of your comment, I think we also need to seriously preparing the unexpected, same as the theme of this seminar. Example like the previous attack, like cybersecurity attack, when we decided to move to digital, we play with data and then a lot of data, and we must ensure that not only availability of that data but integrity and then security of that data, we must also think about it. I think the restoration, I think the backup, I think all of the security, we must also think about it, and then we put the strategy to regarding this data. Saya pikir itu Pak moderator dan Ibu, pesannya memang mengena ke kami Bu, karena ya mau nggak mau kalau berkaitan dengan teknologi informasi ya cepat, aman, dan juga nggak banyak-banyak ngentri kan begitu ya Bu. Terima kasih Ibu, Bapak. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.
Mungkin dari Telkomsel masih ada sedikit komen, silakan.
Ya, Pak Indra, makasih atas jawabannya. Pertanyaan saya singkat aja Pak. Apakah dari aplikasi yang Bapak bangun tadi API-nya public Pak? Contoh, saya cuma berminat yang saya bilang tadi obat. Kalau memang itu public, kita ambil, kita bikin aplikasi buat, ya siapa?
Public ya? Ya, baik. Mungkin Pak Jarod ada komen? Cukup. Pak Bobby masih ada ya?
Yeah, I would like to respond from Monica. That's Monica remind us to start the project from the simple way. Yes, BPOM will start from the most doable system, particularly to check the data input from the industry, particularly from their submission. So the system will filtering, will check, and also to trace either the data is valid or not, data is accurate or not. So we start from that part, and from this system we'll recommend to our staff, I mean BPOM staff, to give the recommendation about this data from the industry. And the rest is, yeah, agree with Pak Indra about the data security. I think we're going to take the further study after we already completed the initial study on the readiness, and the next level is, or the next stage is, we will conduct 5 studies, include for the ethics, data security, and privacy. And BPOM needs the support from all of the organization over here and also in online to implement or to build this system to foster public service delivery quality. Thank you.
Baik, terima kasih Pak Bobby. Mungkin kami kalau boleh merep up ya, izin Bu PLT Deputi, dari pertemuan dari pagi ini, pertama memang ini berproses. Jadi apa yang dilakukan oleh Badan POM di Deputi 3 ini adalah proses yang akan masih terus berlanjut, dan kami pikir ini bisa menjadi piloting bagi KL lain yang melaksanakan kegiatan terkait dengan AI. Jadi kami pun masih belajar untuk mengembangkan di registrasi pangan olahan ini penerapan AI di dalam proses registrasi. Yang kedua, tadi ada hal-hal yang perlu diperkuat ya di Badan POM, terutama dari data etik security dan juga privacy. Jadi mungkin ini juga menjadi catatan bagi kami. Kemudian dari Bu Nunung ya, tadi di UK pun ternyata di Inggris itu lebih AI ini memang sudah banyak dilakukan di sektor swasta, dan pemerintah memang belakangan ya, dari tadi baru 74 aplikasi. Nah kami juga yakin di Indonesia juga sama, lebih kurang. Jadi sektor swasta lebih duluan menggunakan AI, tetapi kami tidak mau ketinggalan, akan catch up untuk berusaha mengembangkan AI, meskipun ini bukan giant step ya, masih small step, tetapi kita akan coba roadmap-nya sehingga ini tidak berhenti ataupun tidak mundur ke belakang. Kemudian tadi harapan dari dari Bu Reni ya, dari GAPMI, tentunya menjadi catatan bagi kami Bu Deputi terkait dengan kerahasiaan data yang diinput, dan juga tadi mengharapkan transisi dari sistem yang existing ke AI tidak menimbulkan permasalahan, terutama dalam proses registrasi pendaftaran. Jadi tidak ada delay, tidak ada masalah, jadi smooth transition ya dari proses yang sekarang menuju AI. Dan satu lagi kolaborasi, tadi Bapak ya dari Telkomsel juga siap kolaborasi, juga teman-teman dari BI untuk pengembangan UMKM dengan penggunaan AI, meskipun dalam tahap yang sederhana, tentunya akan coba kita jajaki ya Pak ya, Pak Jarod ya, mudah-mudahan nanti ini juga bisa bermanfaat bagi pengembangan UMKM di Indonesia. Mungkin itu yang dapat kami wrap up selaku moderator. Kami ucapkan terima kasih untuk Prof. Dian Condronegoro, kemudian Dr. Nunung yang hadir secara online, kemudian Pak Jarot, Pak Indra, Pak Bobi, Pak Rajendra udah meninggalkan ruangan terlebih dahulu. Bapak Ibu dari GAPMI, dari Telkomsel, dan juga Monica dari Manila sudah memberikan komen atas pertemuan hari ini. Mudah-mudahan bisa kami tindak lanjuti di Badan POM dan juga BRIN, sehingga ini tidak hanya wacana ya Pak Bobi ya, karena sudah jalan ya Bu ya, tidak mungkin mundur, kita akan terus maju dengan dukungan dan kolaborasi kita semua. Demikian, mohon maaf jika ada hal yang kurang berkenan. Kami akhiri, wassalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Kami kembalikan ke moderator.
Waalaikumsalam warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Terima kasih kepada Bapak Ali dan juga para narasumber. Namun mohon untuk tetap berada di atas panggung karena sesaat lagi kita akan menyaksikan prosesi penyerahan plakat atau tanda mata yang akan diberikan oleh perwakilan dari Badan POM oleh Ibu PLT Deputi Bidang Pengawasan Pangan Olahan serta oleh Bapak perwakilan dari BRIN oleh Bapak oleh Bapak Agus. Untuk itu kami persilakan kepada Ibu PLT Deputi dan Bapak Agus berkenan naik ke atas panggung.
Aduh Mas Bobi, makasih ya. Sudah dipromo benar tadi.
Selanjutnya dipersilakan untuk mengabadikan momen. Di depan sudah berdiri Ibu PLT Deputi serta Kepala dari Organisasi Riset Tata Kelola dan Ekonomi serta Kesejahteraan Masyarakat Bapak Agus. Dipersilakan Bapak Ibu berikan senyum terbaiknya, senyum. Oke, kemudian pose andalannya boleh pose mengepal tangan di atas. Oke, boleh. Tunjukkan semangatnya. Iya, boleh silakan Bapak Ibu mengabadikan yang ada di belakang. Baik. Baik, dipersilakan kepada Ibu PLT Deputi untuk berkenan jika ada acara selanjutnya. Untuk Bapak Agus, boleh tetap stay di atas panggung untuk menyampaikan closing remarks. Ibu Emma dipersilakan. Baik.
Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Salam sehat untuk kita semua. Pertama-tama yang terhormat Ibu Deputi, Bapak Direktur dan para pembicara, narasumber juga para audiens peserta seminar yang boleh saya katakan luar biasa ya semangatnya. Tentu puji syukur kepada Allah Subhanahu wa taala, Tuhan Yang Maha Esa yang telah memberikan kesehatan kita sehingga kita bisa menyelesaikan acara pada pagi hingga siang hari ini. Dan tentu harapannya adalah bagaimana kita membuat kegiatan ini menjadi lebih besar lagi menurut saya ya. Dan ini yang saya kira tentu ucapan terima kasih kepada Bu Deputi dan BPOM secara umum atas kesempatan kerjasama yang telah diberikan untuk tim kami ya, tim dari BRIN untuk bisa terlibat dalam kegiatan ini. Dan ini saya kira tentu sebagai langkah awal karena memang tantangannya luar biasa menurut pandangan kami ya. Kelihatannya sih simple pemanfaatan AI pada proses registrasi pre-market, tapi kalau kita lihat dari makanan yang di depan Bapak Ibu itu saya kira untuk men-trace-nya luar biasa itu. Karena pelakunya adalah UMKM. Ini yang saya kira menurut saya dalam konteks itu bukan hanya proses produksi, tapi kalau traceability-nya itu sampai dari bagaimana bahan makanan yang diproduksi maka akan lebih kompleks lagi. Karena itu sangat wajar sekali teknologi yang sudah ada bahwa digitalisasi ekonomi menjadi salah satu agenda penting pemerintah kita. Dan saya kira game changer-nya memang seperti itu. Harapannya bahwa salah satunya misalnya adalah registrasi, proses pengawasan, bahan atau makanan olahan tentu akan menjadi harapannya di best practice lah, karena memang akan bisa menjadi salah satu penggerak memotivasi sektor-sektor lain yang bagaimana memperkuat, mengaplikasikan teknologi digital pada berbagai macam aspek sosial ekonomi kita. Tanpa berpanjang lebar, sekali lagi kami mengucapkan terima kasih kepada BPOM dan juga para narasumber dan semua pihak yang mendukung kegiatan ini. Harapannya bahwa ini akan menjadi langkah awal untuk kerjasama lebih kuat lagi antara BRIN dan BPOM dan juga pihak yang lainnya. Demikian akhir kata, Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.
Waalaikumsalam warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Ya, terima kasih kepada Bapak Agus selaku Kepala Organisasi Tata Kelola Ekonomi dan Kesejahteraan Masyarakat BRIN atas closing remarks yang disampaikan. Bapak Ibu, tidak terasa sekali kita sudah masuk ke sesi akhir dari acara pada hari ini, yakni acara seminar internasional dan konsultasi publik pemanfaatan kecerdasan buatan dalam pengawasan pre-market pangan olahan. Bapak Ibu, sebelumnya saya ingin mengingatkan bagi Bapak Ibu yang belum mengunduh materi pada hari ini, dipersilakan untuk dapat mendownload pada link yang sudah ditautkan di kolom chat atau mungkin bisa ditampilkan oleh teman-teman nanti di layar. Bapak Ibu dapat mengunduh materi yang telah disampaikan pada hari ini. Bapak Ibu juga dapat menyaksikan siaran ulang pada YouTube channel Direktorat Registrasi Pangan Olahan. Kemudian kami ingin menginformasikan bahwa untuk makan siang nanti berada di lantai 3 dan bagi Bapak Ibu yang membutuhkan tarif flat parking bisa ke meja resepsionis di depan. Kami ucapkan terima kasih atas partisipasi dari Bapak Ibu, terutama yang sebesar-besarnya kepada para narasumber yang telah berkenan memberikan materi pada hari ini. Semoga acara yang kita laksanakan dapat memberikan manfaat dan dapat terus berkolaborasi dan berinovasi untuk memberikan kebermanfaatan bagi semua masyarakat, khususnya dalam pemanfaatan AI pengawasan pangan olahan. Akhir kata, kami mohon maaf jika ada kekurangan. Saya Windy selaku host pamit undur diri. Terima kasih. Wassalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh dan sampai berjumpa.
Allah.